Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs session. So, these are the articles that we are going to cover today. First one, suborbital technology demonstrator sorted. This is part of science and technology. So, this was on the main page itself in the Hindu, very important. We have already discussed, I think it has been 2 months more, before 2 months we have discussed this, but again this has come. We will see a very in detail explanation. This is a very important article because private players are coming into India's space sector. So, it is a very significant one and hence there is a possibility of question, right. Next one, exit polls. So, tomorrow is the last phase of elections 2024, the Lok Sabha elections, and we will have a exit polls at 6 p.m. right. So, the questions may be possible about exit polls as well as part of our Indian polity. So, this is part of polity. So, this was article taken from Indian Express explained page. Then coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure. This was also discussed some few weeks back. Again this has come into the news. This is part of disaster management. Disaster management. Next one, Earth Care mission by NASA. So, this is also part of science and technology again. Then Daksha project. So, this is also science and technology again. Then Colombo process. So, this is a international relations, a very important one because India has got the chair now, right. So, this is all the articles that we are going to discuss, and after that some factual pointers and practice questions, right. So, I hope my voice, video, everything is fine from my side. Yes, very good evening Santosh, Malini, Ramsan and Srinath. So, let us start with the first article, that is suborbital technology demonstrator sorted. So, the shortcut is sorted, right. Now, about the context, why we have taken this article and why it was there in news, because Agnikul Cosmos, it is a company like how we have a SpaceX, the Elon Musk, the USA private corporation. So, similarly the private entities are also coming in India, and Agnikul Cosmos is one of the small private company which has involved in the space launches, right. So, this Agnikul Cosmos has launched world's first rocket which was built using 3D technology engine. So, what is 3D technology? Usually if you are building any pen or any objects, we usually do in a bigger manner without any what you call layer by layer. We do not consider, we consider it as a multiple parts. So, one part will be manufactured, other part will be added. So, it is a very complex process. 3D printing has a 3D printing means making the project or object, right, with a single go. Every layer will be added, layer on layer. So, very accurately this will be added using the 3D printing technology. The product is designed and accordingly manufacturing takes place in a layer by layer, very thin layers, and all the product will be in a single unit. So, that is called as a 3D printed, and the engine of this satellite which the Agnikul Cosmos has launched was made using the 3D printing technology, and this was the first in the world to make any such 3D printed engine, right. It was launched from Sriharikota, which was our main launching station, right. This is the context. What you need to understand, you need to know about Agnikul Cosmos, that is a private company who launched this, also very important, and then you need to know about the rocket. This is Agniban is the rocket name is also important, world's first rocket. This is Agniban, right. Agniban is the world's first rocket using the 3D printed engine, right. So, these are all the things that you need to know. Now, let us know one by one, right. Agniban is the suborbital technology demonstrator. It is just a technology demonstrator. There is no particular aim like after launching into the orbit they should collect some data. There is no such thing. The main thing is to demonstrate. So, in the future we may work out in a bigger scale, right. So, it is a technology demonstrator and it has a single stage launch vehicle. So, you can recollect, we have discussed many times like PSLV, GSLV, we have 4 stages for PSLV. First there will be a solid engine and then liquid engine and then again solid engine and then liquid engine. Similarly, for GSLV we have different stages, 3 stages are there, where cryogenic is also used in the third stage. So, we have discussed this, right, but in this particular rocket, that is Agniban, there is a single stage, there is no different stages of rocket. That means the rocket will directly go and then it will launch the satellite in a required orbit. There is no first stage will come out, second stage will come out, third stage will come out, there is no such thing, right. They have eliminated all this complexity and single, it has only single engine which can be launched, right. So, this is the very important fact to be remembered, and the engine name is Agnilet, the rocket name is Agniban, and the engine used for the rocket is Agnilet, right. So, very important, the names are also asked in the exam. So, Agnilet is the first 3D printed engine for a rocket, right. So, it is a single piece with 6 kilowatts semi cryogenic engine. So, this also have semi cryogenic engine, the engine is the one which pushes the rocket towards the space, right. So, the engine was made with the name Agnilet and that is 3D printed. So, it is a semi cryogenic. Can anyone tell me what is cryogenic engine? We have discussed this many times. If you are following our current affairs since few months, we have discussed cryogenic engine. Very good evening, Keshav. Can anyone answer this? What is cryogenic engine? Cryogenic engine means normally the engine uses different fuels, but in the case of cryogenic engine, they will take the oxygen, the surrounding oxygen will be taken as a fuel, right. So, and then it is pushed the rocket towards the launch orbit, right. The finally satellite will be placed in the orbit. So, in case of cryogenic engine, we are using the fuels as the atmospheric oxygen and all, right. So, and one more important feature of this rocket is it is customizable launch vehicle. So, that means it can be launched from one stage or 2 stage. So, this is a rocket. Now, it was launched using the one stage. So, that means it is rocket directly goes and put the satellite at the orbit. So, it is a customizable that it can be used 2 stage also in the future. There is a possibility that it can be launched using the 2 stage as well. So, that is also one important feature. Why I am discussing this in a very detailed manner all the facts, because there is a possibility of high chances in the exam, right. Now, the total length of the rocket is 18 meters tall. So, the total rocket length is 18 meters. So, this is all the one. So, 18 meters length, right, and then total weight of the rocket is 14,000 kgs. Yes, liquid O2 atmospheric oxygen can be used, liquid semi cryogenic means a little bit we can use in the combination. So, there is a lot of things, no need to use direct the liquid or solid fuels, right. So, the weight of this total rocket is 14,000 kgs, fine, and it is capable of carrying the 100 kg weight. Payloads means the instruments that are required to be placed, including the satellite, right. Within satellite we have number of instruments. So, the total payload weight that it can carry into the space is 100 kgs, and altitude, that means if it is launched from earth surface, right. So, from earth surface up to it can reach to the 700 kilometers, that means orbit. Earth has different orbits, right, geostationary, geosynchronous, and then within short orbits will be there, long orbits will be there. So, from earth surface we can launch anywhere whatever the required based on the mission, right. So, it can reach up to 700 kilometers from earth surface towards the orbit, right. This is the capacity of the length, and this has the rocket's first stage could have up to 7 Agni-Light engines. That means we can not only use single engine, we can place 7 Agni-Light engine at a go. That means in the future it can push the rocket the rocket much farther away, like satellites can be placed in a higher orbits as well in the future. So, at a go 7 Agni-Light engines can be used, right, and also have capacity to use liquid oxygen or kerosene. So, liquid oxygen is the one which we can use as a semi cryogenic one. It is a combination, either the machine can use kerosene as well as liquid oxygen. That is why it is a semi cryogenic. Complete cryogenic means there will not be any kerosene itself, we will be using the atmospheric oxygen compression and then it will shift towards the liquid oxygen. So, completely we can use liquid oxygen as a fuel, but in case of semi cryogenic we can use the other fuels like kerosene as well, right. So, these are all the features of this rocket. And one important thing, understand this, if the rocket is want to be placed in the orbit, there will be a standalone, I mean from where the launch port, this is called as a launch port, where rocket will be fixed and then here fire will be there and then pushes upwards, right. So this is called as a launch port, this a launch port, and then this is called as a rocket, right. And these rockets are usually designed based on the launch port. For example, we have PSLV, we have GSLV, those are designed to launch from a single launch port. That means if there is a different launch port, the rocket cannot be launched. This has to be fixed, right. So that's why most of the satellites launch ports are fixed. They can only be launched from a single design launch port. But this Agni, whatever Agni-led engines as well as the Agniben rocket can be launched from 10 different launch ports. So they have launched a Dhanush launch port. They themselves has created a launch port called as Dhanush, where the 10 types of rockets can be launched, right. So there is no fixed one like the conventional rockets. We can use different different type of launch ports for this rockets. So this is a flexible one. So different types of rockets can be launched from this launch port. So Dhanush is a type of launch port that was prepared by the Agnikul Cosmos. So all these are very, very complex. They have made it a very advanced thing because they have resources. That's why ISRO cannot we cannot completely depend on ISRO for the future projects. We need to privatize the space. That is what going, and Agnikul is one such private corporation, right. And what is the significance of the launch? India's first launch from private launch pad. This launch pad was a private one, right. Even though it was launched from Sriharikota, it is not a ISRO one, it is a private one, that is Dhanush, which was launched by the Agnikul itself. So it is a India's first private launch pad. Also it is India's first semi-cryogenic engine. Usually the engines are either completely cryogenic or non-cryogenic using the different stages, solid and liquid propellants. But here it is a first semi-cryogenic engine. Also it is world's first single piece 3D printed engine, single piece, right. There is no any other parts, because if there are 2-3 parts connected to each other, there is a high chances that it may collapse, but it is a single designed engine, right. So all this made as a very, very special launch for India's space sector, right. I hope this is clear. So you need to know which company has launched this, the private Agnikul Cosmos, the private one, and what they have made. They have launched a rocket called Agniben, which is a suborbital technology. Suborbital means it is not completely full into the orbit, rather it is up to only 700 kilometers, right. Semi-orbital means this is the orbit. Usually we can launch up to 1500, 3000 kilometers and all, but this is only up to 700 kilometers, it is suborbital, right. So this is also you need to remember, and it is a single stage 3D printed engine, and the engine name is Agnilet, that is also important, right. And it is a semi-cryogenic, it is a customizable, that means it can use either one stage or 2-stage rocket launch, that is also possible. So all these features are also important to be remembered, the distance, the capacity, all these things you have to remember. Any doubts in this? Fine. If not, then we will go to the next article. Please do respond if you have any doubts, else we will move to the next article, right. About exit polls. So there was an article in Indian Express, exit polls will be out immediately after the final phase of elections tomorrow. So there was a detailed explanation what are exit polls, what is the rules pertain to, all these things we will discuss here, right. First, what are exit polls? Exit and then polls, that means these data is collected after exit, that means voters exit from the voting room, right. So it means it will be more accurate, because opinion polls are different. Opinion polls are conducted before the elections, where they will ask you what is your opinion, which party you want to vote. So this is a data which was collected before election, but after election, after vote, if you ask, it will be more accurate, because the person will give what actually he has done, right. So in the what you call opinion poll, he or she will tell what he is going to do. So he may not do it or he may do it, but after voting, so he will do what he has done already. So that's why it is a different. This is conducted at the outside of polling stations. So there will be certain surveys, certain people who are deployed in the polling stations. So after coming out of those people, they will ask you the question, to which party you have voted in Lok Sabha elections, to which party member you have elected in the assembly elections. So they will collect, there will be a fixed questionnaire. There is already a prepared questionnaire by the experts, and they will ask you those 3-4 questions, and they will note down the data. And the samples earlier were only up to 10,000, 2,000, but now it is 10 lakh, 15 lakh samples they are taking. So that means there is a increased accuracy as well in the exit polls, right. So these are the polls which are conducted immediately after the election outside of the polling station through collection of data by the respected companies or private entities, right, whoever are taking the data. And unlike the opinion polls which were conducted before the election, these are conducted immediately after the election, right. That is what we have discussed. And these exit polls are conducted by non-government agencies, that is private agencies. No government, like no ministry, no election commission are involved. Mostly those are all done by completely of the private organization. So no government is involved in this particular thing. And these exit polls are regulated under Representation of People Act 1951, which was the main act which are taking care of the elections, right. So section 126A, they may ask you this also in the exam. Section 126A under Representation of People Act regulates the opinion polls, and it says that until, from the date of announcing the election, right, till the last phase of elections, till the last day of elections, no exit polls has to be published, because there is a 7 polls. For example, you take this year election, so immediately after 3-4 what you call phases itself, they may publish. They could have collected the data and they could have been published, but to not influence the voters, because some people may influence that, okay, this party is already winning, so let's vote for that particular party. So that's why, because of that, till the last phase of election, last day of the election, it is banned to publish in print media or in any digital format or physical format, right. So this is what the Representation of People Act says, right. Any doubts in this? See, for any jobs, Fun Channel has asked a query that from where to cover current affairs. See, current affairs has a very huge amount of resources. So you need to fix one thing. Either you can depend on the magazines or you can depend on the videos. But remember one thing, whatever from wherever you have studied, you should make a very short notes, right. Follow any particular source. I should not tell any institutes and all that. That is like, you can follow our videos regularly. We are doing it. You can follow anything also. You can follow newspaper, Indian Express, Hindu, but that makes very complex. But you at least need to read 2-3 times. Don't do it in a single manner, just 10 days, 15 days before the exam. Daily spend some 1 hour, 2 hours on current affairs until you crack your exam, whatever you are wished for. Try to do it regularly, and at least 1.5-2 months before your exam, try to revise all those things, whatever you have prepared, and make a very short notes. Your brain will tell you that this article is important or this is not able to recall even though I prepared earlier. So make a short notes of it and then revise it. So you cannot answer all the current affairs questions, nobody can do it, but you have to do it at least 70-75% of questions if you are following regularly, right. So this is how you need to prepare. Fine. So that is all about the exit polls. I hope this is clear. The third one is Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So what is this? Why it is there in news? We have discussed few days before itself, some 10 days before and all. So this is, the context is, it has announced $8 million. So 1 million means 10 lakhs, right. So 80 into 10 lakhs you can take, just making you see, this is how you need to prepare. They may ask you in rupees also, like how much crores it has been, but you will just blindly remember 8 millions. So you have to think what they have given in terms of rupees, because we are having rupees. So 8 million, this is dollars, so multiplied by again 80. So you have to multiply again by 80 rupees, approximately $1 equal to. So 80 lakhs and then 8 crores multiplied by 8. Right. So 64 crores approximately has been allocated for the small island developing states. So here you need to now know about what is Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. You need to know about small island developing states, this also you need to know, and then you need to know about the funding, why they have done and all, right. So this is what we are going to discuss holistically about this article, right. Yeah. Now first let us know about the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. This is a coalition of countries, the member countries, UN bodies, private agencies, all throughout the world, they come together, right, and they have launched this Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. And for what purpose? The purpose is to build an infrastructure which is resilient to climate change or disaster resilient. That means, you know, for example, you take earthquake resistant buildings. So those are designed in such a way that even if there is an earthquake wave, they can resist. And even for floods, we can design flood resilient infrastructure. For cyclones, yes, cyclone resilient infrastructure. So this aims to promote the disaster resilient infrastructure throughout the world, because of the climate change and all, now there is lot of disaster. So we need to promote those type of infrastructure which can resist the disasters. So that is the aim of this organization. And who launched this? This was spearheaded by India itself. India with the UK, right. So India and UK together they have launched this, and through United Nations Climate Action Summit. So in 2019 we had a conference called United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York, USA. So on the sidelines of this summit, India along with the support of UK has launched this, right, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and this is the India's second global initiative after International Solar Alliance. We have already launched International Solar Alliance with the headquarters at Gurgaon. Now we have launched this also, right. So this is the India's second large global initiative. As of now, there are 39 countries which are part of this, and six international organizations and 2 private sector organizations as well has become the members. So still it is increasing its membership, right. Now coming to the small islands developing states. So you can see there are certain countries in the world which are small, like they are island nations. So you can see Mauritius, Maldives, those are island nations, especially in this area of Atlantic Ocean, in the Caribbean region and then Indian Ocean region. In certain regions of the world there are small countries, unlike the big countries like India, China, USA and all. Because of the recent climatic change events which was happening since industrial revolution, these are the ones which are going to be affected in a huge manner, or the first ones to be affected by the impact of climate change, right. So these countries has come together, and it was established in 1992 under Rio Summit, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. This conference was happened in Rio, Brazil in 1992. So on the sidelines of this, all these small countries has come together and they have launched this, right. And what is the aim? To protect themselves from the climatic change events and to mobilize the funding, because these are the countries which are going to be affected anyway, and they are the first. So to mobilize the funding from different countries like developed countries and all, they have aimed. So funding is required to promote themselves, to increase, to include the technology, to include the infrastructure for themselves, they need it, right. So that is the aim. This was launched by small developing small islands, and the aim is to mobilize the funding to protect themselves against the climate change. That need to be remembered. And when it was launched in the sidelines of Rio Summit, United Nations Conference on Environment in 1992. So all these facts are important, right. And this has come into the picture from Barbados Program of Action. We have recently discussed, few days back itself, we have discussed about this small island developing nations. So these islands has together launched Barbados Program of Action in 1994 with the initiative to protect themselves, right. So that is also important. As of now, they have 39 countries, states here means countries, with 18 associate members, and India is one of the associate member, right. So they have grouped into Caribbean region, Indian Ocean region, South Asia region, so they have differentiated. These are the ones we have discussed. Now about the funding, as we have seen in the context itself, $8 million, that is approximately 80 crores has been given to these countries, recently there was a meeting in the yes, Antigua and Barbuda, about the countries, how they want to develop, how they have to move forward. So on the sidelines of this coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure has given them 80 crores for these countries to include technology whatever they required related to the climate change fight, right. And this funding was given by Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure under a program called Resilient Island States Program. This will also be asked in the exam. Resilient Island States Program is an initiative of whom? This will be asked in the exam. Resilient Island States Program is an initiative of Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So this international coalition has launched this Resilient Island development program specifically to support the island nations, right. Under this program it was launched, and this program was launched under COP26 of UNFCCC. So in Glasgow, right, in 2023, yeah, 2020, not 2023, 2022 we had a COP26, right. So it was held in Glasgow, Scotland, right. On the sidelines they have launched the Resilient Island States Program, right. So this, under this program they have given the 8 million funding, right. So this is a lot of factual as well as the organizations involved. So you need to know about small islands developing nation initiative. You need to know about the coalition disaster resilient infrastructure. You need to also know about the Resilient Island States Program which was launched by CDRI, right. And then what is the purpose of all these things also you need to remember. Question can be asked in any combination, right. What is Barbuda's action program? That was launched by the small islands together to protect themselves, right. So all these things you need to remember. Any doubts in this? Just think about it, like don't leave like that. After completing the class you need to think about it, take some 10-15 minutes. Okay, there is already organization, they have launched this initiative, they have given this funding, so think yourself. So whenever immediately after listening the class, if you could able to think for some time, it will make you remember for a longer period, right. Any doubts in this? If you have any small doubts also, even after the session you can post a comment. I am replying to those students who are asking the queries, right, not only live but also after the session. Next one, Earth Care Mission. Earth Care Mission. So what is the full form of Earth Care? That is also important. Earth Cloud Aerosol Radiation Explorer. This is the full form of Earth Care, right. So Earth is this one, C means cloud, A means aerosol, R means radiation, E means explorer. Earth Care Mission was recently launched just a few days back on May 28. They have launched this. So this is again a very important. On May 28 they have launched this, right. Now let us see the details about it. It is a joint venture of European Space Agency and Japanese Space Agency. There is no involvement of NASA, remember, because most of the missions comes from the NASA, but this was launched by European Space Agency and Japanese Space Agency, right. These are the two organizations. And why they have launched? The name itself is giving you the clue. Cloud Aerosol Radiation Explorer. That means it is going to study about the environment related to the cloud. So it is going to observe the characteristic of aerosols. Aerosols means dust particle. See, if there is a cloud and if it need to shun a rain, there should be aerosol, and around that there will be a moisture, there will be a dust particle. If there are more dust particles in a particular region, there will be more moisture around it, and once the cloud weight gets increased, it will release all the water. So it may also lead to the flooding as well. So dust particles can also has the capacity to increase the flooding in that particular region, right. So this is going to study all those things like dust particle, aerosols, cloud formation, how clouds are forming. So indirectly it is going to give you the data related to the climate change. If there is any changes in the climate like cloud, aerosols on the earth, so it is going to give you the information, right. So this is the objective of this program, Earth Care Mission, right. It was launched on May 28, 2024, that means a few days back, right. So then it was launched from the rocket Falcon 9 Block 5 of SpaceX. the Elon Musk company SpaceX has launched this program. Even though this is an initiative of European Space Agency and Japanese Space Agency, it was actually launched by a private organization, that is SpaceX, right? And it was kept in sun synchronous orbit. So there is a different orbits, we have discussed this also. This is Earth, and if this is launched in this at the equator of Earth, this is called as geostationary, right? Geostationary orbit. And if it is launched in an inclined manner, then it is called as geosynchronous orbit. And if it is the satellite is launched vertically in the sun synchronous, that means it is like how sun is moving vertically between the tropics. So it is launched in this one, right? So this is also important. This was launched in the sun synchronous orbit, not the geostationary or geosynchronous, right? So that is about the Earth care, and this is not very important, but yes, if some people who are writing civil services and all mains, so you need to remember the instruments also. So it has different payloads: atmospheric lidar, which can capture the data related to the atmosphere, then cloud profiling radar, which will collect data from the cloud. This was launched by this was made by Japanese Space Agency. Rest of all four, this atmospheric lidar and then multispectral imager, these are the instruments within the satellite which is going to observe. Without this instrument, satellite is null, nothing. It cannot do anything, it cannot collect any data. Broadband radiometer, so different purposes are there, it is a very complex, no need to worry. These are all the instruments that were involved in the satellite, which is going to capture the images data and give it to the ground stations, right. So that is about the Earth Care project. Any doubts in this? I hope this is a clear, right. Let us move to the next article, Daksha project, a very simple small article, there is no detailed explanation even from their website, but yes, you need to know the limited data given by it. We will see what is that, right. Recently, IIT Bombay is going to lead this Daksha project. IIT Bombay, they will ask you which organization, which IITs and all, they will give IIT Madras, Delhi and all. So this Daksha project is going to be led by Bombay, IIT Bombay, right. And this was a collaborative project between Physical Research Observatory Laboratory, that is of Government of India, and then Institute of Fundamental Research, Raman Research Institute. So this is a Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So there are many organizations, you no need to worry, but the leading is done by IIT Bombay. Now let us see what is this actually the project. This is a project which they are going to create two space telescopes. That means from the Earth itself, the telescopes has a very distant capacity, different telescopes has different capacity. So under this Daksha project, they are going to create two telescopes which can observe. What they are going to observe is very important. They are going to observe gamma ray bursts. That means in our space we have a number of space objects, we only have a limited knowledge, right. Many of the space bodies like different planets, stars, right, meteoroids, there is a lot of space objects, they can emit the gamma ray bursts. So gamma rays are emitted, and if any rays emitted by the space objects can be studied by our different instruments that we have. So through them we can know how far the space objects are, is Earth is in danger, or how the star has burned. So everything related to the space data, if any such rays are given, through those rays we can extract some data from those space objects. So for that purpose we are creating two space telescopes, right. So this is these gamma ray bursts are the ones which happens for a very short lived period. If there is any merger of stars, if there is any burst of star, these gamma rays are emitted and we capture that and we will know the details what has happened in the space, right. So this is a very simple project, and there will be a satellites. For these satellites will be in place of Earth initially, but also after that they will be carried to the space as well. These telescopes can be carried through the satellite. These satellites will these telescopes will be kept within satellite, and the satellite will be placed around the near equatorial orbit. From Earth surface it is being kept at 650 kilometers, so it can give more accurate data. So this is the objective of the project. The last article for today, that is Colombo process. Any doubt in this? Very simple thing. we will get to know once it is launched and all, we will get to know more details about it, but it is not yet released. It is just that IIT Bombay is given the leading to launch this project. So, it is yet to be launched. Once it is launched, we will know more details about it, right. Colombo process. The context is India has become the chair, that means if there is any organization, the chairmanship is rotated among the members, right. So, similarly India is assumed as a chair for this Colombo process from 2024 to 2026. For 2 years we are going to have the chairmanship for the Colombo process, right, and for the first time we are taking the chair of this Colombo process since its inception in 2003. So, here we have a data also that Colombo process was launched in 2003 and India has taken the chairmanship for the first time, and the year is 2024-26. Now, you may be having doubt, sir, what is this Colombo process? That is the most important thing that we are going to learn. So, as the world has opened up, right, the countries like we are connecting with the USA, we are connected with China in terms of trade, movement of the people, right. So, now people are not staying only in our country, but people are moving between the countries, right. So, to protect the rights of the workers, the laborers, right, whoever are the contractual laborers, whoever are employed in other countries. So, Indian may be doing employment in USA, China, in Southeast Asia, many countries, but as we are outsiders there, we are, I mean, if they are staying in India, yes, of course that is their country, that is our country, but if they going to the other countries, there may be violation of their rights because they are not Indians, right. There is you might have seen in many of the countries like especially USA, there was racial attacks and all, right. So, to protect the workers, especially the people from developing countries will move to the developed countries, right. The USA people will not come and work here in India because they have opportunities, they have less amount of population there. Mostly the developing countries will send their people to the other countries for education, employment and all, but specifically to protect the workers' right of the migrators from India to other countries, all the countries whoever are part of it. So, those people will go to the other countries and they are being protected, right, under the Colombo process. So, under this process the countries has come together and have put agreement that our people should be protected there. That is the aim of this Colombo process, and it was first met in Colombo, Sri Lanka and launched in 2003, right. So, for the first time when they met in 2003, only 10 countries were part of it, right, an international organization for migration also. But later, now as of now we have 11 member states and India is one member country. Yes, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, China, India, Indonesia, Nepal, Pakistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand and Vietnam. You no need to worry, but just remember that Afghanistan our border country, Bangladesh is our border country, China is also our border country. So, Nepal and Bhutan are not there, Nepal is there, Bhutan is not part of this agreement, right, and Myanmar is also not there. Our boundaries you can remember, and there are 8 observer states as well, Bahrain, Kuwait, Malaysia, Qatar, all these countries are there. So, together we are going to protect our people who are migrating to other countries. That is also important because they are sending us the money, right. So, that is the aim of this project, right. Objectives is to share experience, lessons learned from the labor migration, consult on issues faced by the migrants. So, whatever the issues that they face, we will share the details and accordingly we will protect as well, right. Optimize developmental benefits for those people, review and monitor the implementation of this security measures. So, all these things are general, but yes, to protect the migrants of those who went from our countries, right. So, that is about the Colombo process, fine. Now, let us see some factual pointers. If you have any doubts, please do let me know, else we will move to the factual pointers. First fact about microcephaly. Recent studies has proved that SA6 central assembly protein, it is a protein, one protein within our human body, SA6. This is a protein and it was found that this protein is causing the microcephaly. And what is the microcephaly? Microcephaly is a condition where the head becomes smaller than actually it should be, right. So, understand microcephaly is a condition in brain where our head will not grow the actual growth it should have been like this, right. The actual growth of head should have been like this, but because of this microcephaly condition the size of the head got decreased. So, this condition is called as the microcephaly, where head size reduces than actually it should be, right. So, this was found out that this protein is causing the microcephaly conditions in certain children, right. And this occurs in the womb itself, like when the child itself is in the stomach itself during the pregnancy, this condition happen, and once the child is delivered the brain will not grow, right, the head will remain of the same size that it during the delivery, right. So, this is about the microcephaly condition. Next one, National Green Tribunal told to the Karnataka. National Green Tribunal is the one which has what you call judicial powers to give direction related to the environment, right. So, this is statutory body under National Green Tribunal Act 2010, fine. They have said that Karnataka government to curb the illegal sand mining in Shravasti river. So, Shravasti river is the context here for us. So, to stop the illegal mining in the river, and Shravasti river is the west flowing river, right. So, Shravasti river is west flowing river, that means it drains into Arabian Sea, not the Bay of Bengal, it is a west flowing river. And one of the important is Jog Falls, one of the largest waterfall in India is located on this Shravasti river, right. So, Mahatma Gandhi hydroelectric power station is also located situated on this Shravasti river. So, these facts you need to know. Next one, Japanese researchers has created LignoSat. It is a satellite. It is a satellite, world's first satellite made with the wood. Usually the satellites are made using aluminum and many other minerals, but this satellite was launched using wood, and this is called as LignoSat. It was made by Japanese scientists, and this LignoSat satellite is going to be a collaborative project between NASA and Japanese Space Agency. They together they are going to launch. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to use this satellite to launch for the space, and in future to demonstrate that we no need to use any minerals, we can use wood itself to launch a satellite. So, their aim is to reduce the debris in the space, right. So, this is going to be launched using again SpaceX rocket of Elon Musk. So, that is the fact. Next, today we are celebrating World No Tobacco Day. Today we are celebrating May 31. Every year we are celebrating World No Tobacco Day, and the theme of this year is protecting children from tobacco industry interference. Theme is very, very important. You will see this in the coming question exams, whatever you write. Protecting children from tobacco industry interference, right. This is the theme, and the aim is to promote awareness about tobacco consumption, how it is dangerous to the health. So, this is about the World No Tobacco Day and factual pointers. Now, let us solve some practice questions. First question about the sorted rocket. Consider the following statements regarding Agniban suborbital technological demonstrator, sorted. We have discussed that, right. It is a single stage launch vehicle entirely developed by ISRO. This is the first statement. Second statement, it is designed for the launch from multiple launch ports. So, this particular rocket can be launched from multiple launch ports, they are saying. It will feature the world's first single piece 3D printed engine designated and built indigenously. That means within India we have built. So, what is the answer for this? First one, it is not by ISRO, rather it is a Agnikul private company. So, first statement you can eliminate. So, C can be eliminated. Second one, yes, we have seen it can be launched from 10 different ports. So, second statement is correct. So, option A is wrong. It will feature world's first single piece 3D engine. Yes, it has a 3D printed single engine. So, answer is B. Sahana, Santosh, Srinath, Ramsan, Malini has answered it as correct. Very good. Next question. which of the following statements regarding exit polls are correct? This is a previous question taken from NDA, National Defence Academy, stage 1 exam, right? An exit poll is the same as opinion poll, which asks voter which political party they are supporting after they have cast their vote in the elections. So, this is the first statement. Second statement, exit polls in India are conducted by Election Commission of India. Second statement. Third statement, currently exit polls can't be telecast from the before voting begins till the last phase that concludes. So, these are the statements. First, like even if you are in dilemma in some statements in the exam, try to find out the statement which you can easily eliminate, right. So, based on that you can take risk also. If you eliminate two options, you can take risk also, right. So, second statement is wrong because we have discussed that it is not involved of any government, it is completely done by the private agencies. So, second statement can be eliminated and you have 50% chance to get it correct, right. Now, the answer must be between C and D. Let us see. So, here 3 is there in both the statements, that means it is correct, it can't be published the result until the last phase. It is same as opinion poll, no, it is not same as opinion poll. Opinion poll is published even before the elections, but exit polls comes after the elections, the data is collected. So, first statement is wrong, hence answer is C. So, Srinath, Sahana, Sai King has answered it as correct, right. First statement is wrong, it is not same as opinion poll. Next, with regard to international cooperation, Colombo process is associated with. So, what is this Colombo process? Enabling free migration of people between the countries. So, they are this is an agreement to promote free movement of people, they are saying. Second one, promote the free trade between Asia and rest of the world, second statement. Management of overseas employment and contractual labor, third statement. To contain piracy in the Indian Ocean region. So, what is the answer? Very good, most of you have answered. I thought people will answer A, but yes, a very good. Management of overseas employment and contractual labor between among the countries who have signed the agreement. So, Sahana, Ramzan, Srinath, Ranjan, Santosh, Sai has answered it as correct. Next one, what is the, this is an application based. So, I have created, let us see who will answer this. What is expected outcome of Earth Care mission launched by European Space Agency and Japanese Space Agency recently? So, on May 28 it was launched. So, what is the expected outcome of this? Estimation of impact of wind on the cloud formation is possible. So, this mission is going to know about the impact of wind on the cloud formation, they are saying, right. Second one, it can provide the information to improve predictions about weather and future climate. So, this the second possible benefit they are saying. It will estimate the emission of carbon dioxide on per ton usage of fossil fuels. So, it will estimate the emission of CO2 into the atmosphere, they are saying. It can reduce the impact of solar flares on communication systems. So, what is the expected benefit? Someone said A, someone said B. So, this is not related to the solar flares, you can eliminate, it is not to estimate CO2 also. So, you may be in dilemma between A and C. It is not the impact of wind, we did not discuss that, and that is not, it is very difficult to know the impact of wind. But anyway, this was not a stated objective. The main aim is to know better about the cloud formation, dust particle, and know about the proper data related to the weather and climate forecasting in the future. So, answer is B. This is how they will confuse. You need to know about the applications when you are knowing the concepts, right. So, only Ranjan, Santosh and Sai has answered it as correct. Very good. Next one, and this was taken from UPSC CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces. of 2018, UPSC CAP of 2018, right. Jog Falls, one of the largest in India, is located on Kaveri river, Shavasti river, Pennar river, Bharatapuzha river. A very direct question, we have discussed this, that is the Supreme Court has said about Shavasti river. Yes, Ramzan, Malini, Santosh, Ranjan, Sahana, Sai, everyone have answered it as correct, right. So, this is of today's session. I hope you have enjoyed. We have a very good articles, and if you like the video, please do like and subscribe our videos. Thank you. Have a great evening.